Football fans versus football pundits. Whose opinion matters the most? Is all opinion valid? Are football fans who goes to grounds and pay the money to support their club they're passionate about, is their opinion more important than a pundit who is paid to talk about a club they don't even support? Over to you, folks. Over to you. This is the United Stand. It's the big debate. Loads going on. And it's not just this little Arsenal fan TV v Gary Neville thing, because I think, personally, I've got Draw to Devil with me, and I think that is a bit cynical to start saying that's what it's about. This is something that's been bubbling up for a long time. We've got a few quotes from people in relation to pundits and how they are essentially cutting off the lifeblood of football fans, I feel, because football's changing. Football's changing. And I think also, same thing with journalists as well. I think they're clinging on to something that's dying. This whole, you go to university, you get a degree in journalism, you write, and everyone hangs off your world in papers and on the websites and things like that. Football's changing. They're still very, very valid arguments, but football fans have got more choice now. They can go and get what they want, and they certainly are doing that. And you see that, and it's a changing landscape. And I think there is a bit of lashing out. I've seen it with certain Manchester Evening News journalists. We saw it today with a journalist I follow. In fact, I'll quote what he said. Oliver Kay said, publicly holding Wenger to account and slating him by the fans is always wrong. Anti-Wenger banners are idiotic. I mean, should a journalist of that level be calling people, biting the hand that feeds him, basically, calling them idiots? That is where I agree. I think any calling of any other fan is an idiot is wrong and naive. And I think all those people who've said that over the last few weeks would probably take that back, because what anybody says, you take football fans out of football, there is no football. Stop biting the hand that feeds you is what I would say. However, I'm going to talk to Draw to Devil because I know he's got a point on this, and we may as well pick up, being a Manchester United fan channel, on what's happened at the weekend. I've got some thoughts on about this, but what I also want to say is Robbie Savage a couple of weeks ago came out and said, a small survey, how many football fans are idiots? I mean, why is that? Why is there that arrogance from some pundits to do that? But let's talk Gary Neville. Let's talk about Arsenal fan TV. At the weekend, he basically gave a very passionate opinion on football, and every opinion's valid. And he said that those fans outside the Arsenal game after Chelsea slating Arsene Wenger, it's embarrassing. And that was basically coming from the fact that Gary Neville thinks a lot of Arsene Wenger. Drawty, you put up a fantastic quote, which I'm going to get you to talk about in a minute. How what's happened since Arsene Wenger won the league, but I've got no issue with Gary Neville doing that. I think Arsenal fan TV responded straight away, jumped on the thing that Gary Neville had said, that fans are embarrassing. One particular fan he called an idiot because he pre-took a banner saying Wenger out, enough is enough. That means he took it before the result was even there. Is that right or wrong? You could say they've had so many bad results, maybe he knew it was going to come and he knew the banner was going to be used. Or you could say he just carries it around waiting for that photo opportunity, because some fans are waiting for that opportunity, that few minutes of fame. You look at some fan channels outside grounds, I think some of it's staged. Not necessarily by the fan channels that do it, but the fans are queuing up, waiting for their 5 minutes. And it's the more ridiculous, the better. They might film 50 fans, right? The 5 most controversial, you can guarantee, will definitely go up on their channel, because it's a business and they want views. They want controversy. The person who, after a United draw, goes, Mourinho out, he's going to get on, because you've got a banner there, you've got a title, Mourinho out, fan furious. Are you going to watch that and click it? Or are you going to watch the one that says, it's just one of those days, let's see what happens next week? Over to you, Drawty, anyway. Give us your thoughts.
Hello, how are you? Are you all good?
I'm good.
I'm asking you a question, if you're good.
I'm good.
Good. I mean, I love Gary Neville. I think he's probably one of the best pundits out there. He's very, very honest. He's very, very opinionated. And for me, he's very much defending his profession. And why shouldn't he? He's played the game for many, many years. He knows exactly what he's on about. And between him and Jamie Carragher, they're probably the most reputable pundits on TV at the moment. So I really don't think you can argue against anything he says. I mean, he's just a guy who knows his profession extremely well, and is giving his viewpoint in a manner that he can articulate to everyone. Now, the lines are a bit blurred because you've got your fan channels Then you've got your journalists, then you've got your pundits. Journalists are not footballers, they're just trained in journalism to report on the game. Pundits usually have played the game, so they're reporting on that. And then you've got your fan channels on the side who are just the common folk. Now, some of us common folk have played football. You yourself, Mark, you've played football in the past. People do have knowledge of these things, but I think with the emergence of social media, everybody wants to be a star. Yeah. Everyone on YouTube wants to have a name for themselves. I know people always say, why don't I show my face? Well, for that very matter, I don't want to be known for me. I don't need to have this kind of... I'm not having a go at you here, but I don't feel this...
Well, I've begged you, because I think you're very articulate, I think you're very natural, and I think you could be sat here doing this and giving me a couple of days off a week, but
I feel the need for me to have my face or my opinions associated with the person that I am. Yeah. I don't feel I have to prove anything. I'm not an expert. I've never played the game at any serious level. I'm not a journalist or anything like that. My opinion is just that. Gary Neville's opinion is worth 1,000 times mine, 1,000 times any kind of journalist out there, because he knows the game inside out. And I think for him to say what he said about Arsenal Fan TV, I can massively appreciate where he's coming from, because there's going to be a growing frustration that as these fan channels keep emerging, and United Stand is guilty of it as well, a lot of the attention is being taken away from the clubs and the fans are having more of their say, but it's creating a negative atmosphere, and clubs don't want these negativity around them. It's bad for business, it's bad for money. But at the same time, as you say, negativity sells. You're not going to click on a video that says, oh, they've had a good game. They've had a good game. You can go at the pub and talk about it with your mates. But the problem is when it's someone extreme who's giving an extreme opinion, going into meltdown, saying something completely incredulous, you want to watch it, because at the moment, shock value sells. Do you not agree there?
I do agree with you. What I would pick up on is I don't agree that Gary Neville's opinion is more important than anybody else's. I think he knows the game more than anybody, and I think 100%.
I think what I should have said was his opinion's more valued in terms of his input because of his experience.
Yeah, and we were talking before you came on air, and I said, I'm not going to hold back on some pundits tonight because I think the arrogance is beyond a joke, and we'll talk about that. But when it comes to punditry, there's two that stand head and shoulders above anybody else, who are passionate, who don't care, they will have a bit of banter, and that's Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher. And it pains me to say that about a Liverpool player, but they are head and shoulders above anybody else, and they are genuine. And we had Stan Collymore on a few weeks ago who said the industry stinks. It's full of people who are paid a lot of money, who are handed scripts. There's no preparation. It's just handed out, and they read it out, and they get paid a lot of money. I would never have that levelled against people like Gary Neville or Jamie Carragher, because it oozes out of them, the knowledge, the passion. I think they're absolutely fantastic, and they deserve to get paid a lot of money to entertain us, as they do. I think the advent of fan opinion is brilliant. I think football is about the fans, and you take the fans away, there is no football. But I think this is the bad thing about life, Drorty. I think I'm going to be a bit bigger picture here. Democracy is fantastic and freedom of speech is fantastic, but I think you're spot on. Arsenal Fan TV reacted to the Gary Neville thing straight away with the victim mentality of they jumped on it. Gary Neville's biting the hand that feeds him. They're treating fans like second-class citizens, calling it embarrassing, calling people idiots. Well, yeah, there is that side of the argument, but there is the Gary Neville side of the argument, and I don't know whether this is his side of the argument, that he walks out having worked for a professional company like Sky Sports after the Arsenal-Chelsea game, and he sees these cameras everywhere and these fans queuing up to just get on there and be controversial. And as a professional in his profession, I understand his frustration. Maybe being such a responsible and iconic and well-followed and respected personality, maybe he shouldn't have used the words idiot or embarrassing. He probably said, I'm happy with them. But what do you want? Do you want scripted, or do you want heat of the moment? And that's what I think.
But do you not believe that fan channels have become polarised caricatures of themselves?
Well, you picked up on this, Jordy, because last summer I read what you said, and I think you were talking to one of the producers of one of the other channels that we don't need to name, but you were making this very, very very spot on point. Well, you tell them. I mean, I think you scratch the surface with most of them, and they aren't what they represent. They aren't what they say they are. And Gary Neville, in a way, isn't having a go at fan channels. He's having a go at other media companies, really. Let's be blunt.
The trouble is, and if I don't want to go down the route of politics, but it kind of feeds in somehow. This whole idea of Donald Trump and all his tweeting out there at the moment. It's very much you're in contact with everyone out there. 20 years ago, you never had that. So when the papers were printing, Graham Taylor, Turnip Taylor, all that kind of stuff, when England were playing extremely bad was it 93? You couldn't go on Twitter and argue that. You couldn't go on YouTube and upload a video to argue with any of these statements out there. The problem is with these YouTube channels, and again, like I say, United Stand is not exempt from any of this. The channel is probably guilty as anyone else is of glamorizing certain things, targeting certain players, because at the end of the day, whilst we exert polarization of kind of thought and we kind of go along with fan opinion, at the end of the day, shock value still sells. Now, there's a lot of fan channels out there that I'm not saying people are pretending. The people on there are fans, but they are employed to do a job, and they are employed to pay. They are paid to do a job in terms of report what the fans are feeling. But I guarantee there's a script in a way of this is the angle we're going to go down because this is what's going to get us the most views.
Well, I know that for a fact, and you know that for a fact. So
I know this for a fact, but this is the problem, because then when it happens is if you've got a big fan base, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 subscribers globally, and you keep growing, your opinion then starts to underpin what the fans are feeling as a whole. Imagine if you've got, I don't know, for instance, there's a YouTube channel out there, Manchester United, 2 million subscribers. No one's got that at the moment, but imagine that happened and you've got 2 million people agreeing with this channel because this channel is saying this player's crap, we want him out, right?
Yeah, you're right.
You are then having a direct influence on a big proportion of the fan base, and the club lose they lose the ownership of what they're trying to portray out there. The fans can then get on people's backs and then you sway opinion, and it's not a real reflection of what really is going on out there. I think it becomes almost a caricature of everything that's going on. And that's I can see where Gary Neville's coming from, is if you've constantly got people saying Wenger out, Wenger out, Wenger out, and let's make a big thing of it in a video and everyone's watching it, then everyone jumps on the bandwagon because they either share it with their friends and they think, haha, this is really funny, I want to watch this. It sells. And at the end of the day, these big channels who are actually ran by media companies are making a damn sight more money than United Stand will ever make. I guarantee that, because they're being run in a way which is really, really clever, getting fans to watch content, which is also slightly manipulating the way the fan thinks. I don't know how you feel about that, but I can see Gary Neville's frustration, and I think it takes away from pure punditry from the people who know best.
Well, we are basically backing Gary Neville, I think. Both of us are. But we've been the victim of it. He clearly gets frustrated by this fan content, and I'm not surprised by it today. The stuff that happened at the weekend. I follow Gary Neville. I'm sure every Manchester United does. He comes out with some really great stuff. A few months ago, he was tweeting about David Moyes and the start of he was tweeting about Mourinho and some players, and he made some comments about David Moyes and how Sir Alex Ferguson was given so many years before the title, and sort of hinting that David Moyes should have been. And we tweeted off the main account, we shouldn't have done it. We said, if Moyes had been given another 2 years, we'd have been relegated. To which he replied, 38 years a United fan, and I'm listening to a YouTube channel. A lot of people backed him. Yeah, go on, Gary. You've just ended the United Stand. Some people went on it and went, you know what? It's a bit derogatory, that is. They are United fans. They've got a right to an opinion, and you're basically dismissing it. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because yes, it's opinion. What I was going to say is that this reminds me of what life is like in the 30 odd years I've been here. It's a war. You've got these fan channels, you've got the media and the punditry, and like Doherty said, there's a bit of a clash at the moment, and it's a war, and there's a lot of money involved in it as well. So they don't really go together, because media, Sky Sports, Match of the Day has always been and always will be ex-pros, which I want to talk about in a minute. And then you've got fan content, which is fan content, who would, well, you've seen with Arsenal Fan TV, we're a fan channel. Gary Neville offers to go on, they're bending over, get Gary on, because I've no word of a doubt about it. Arsenal Fan TV are not a victim in this. They're rubbing their hands together. They've jumped on it straight away, very cleverly. They're run by people who are very clever and business-minded. They've used it. They've been in the... Henry Winters mentioned them. They've been mentioned on Sky Sports. Everything. People will go, let's have a look at this Arsenal Fan TV. They get a load of subscribers. It's brilliant. So, Gary Neville's frustration at these fan channels, is it frustration? I think Gary Neville's too honest to be manipulated. But actually, as a marketing tool, if you own Arsenal Fan TV, you're rubbing your hands together, Draughty.
Well, the only thing I would say about fan channels, and again, I'm sorry, I'm going to label it a United Stand. I have to be fair here. It's nothing like TV. In terms of production values, they're far less.
The graphics are crap.
Generally speaking, the people
the graphics, I'm joking.
I personally, I don't care. So, I just do what I do. I work in a different sort of sector of graphics anyway in my day job, which you know about. So I kind of know, well, I definitely do know what I'm on about. But the thing for me is, would you rather watch Sky Sports and get your views, or would you rather go to a fan channel? And I kind of think if you're an educated individual, you would get your actual intelligence from Sky Sports or the official outlets. Fan channels are usually just speculation, been guilty of clickbait in the past, probably because you hear something, you jump on it and you put it out there and you think this is happening, because there's a lot of hearsay. None of us knows what's going on. It's usually the clubs that know exactly what's going on, and the clubs are the one who really should be announcing all the information. There's a massive clash of media now of the public want to say and everything, pundits want to say and everything, journalists want to say and everything. The clubs are losing control of everything they need to say about the club, because basically all this information is flying around everywhere and no one really knows where it's going. And the problem I've got with, I don't have a problem with the people on them as such. They're just doing their bit in society and they're getting paid for it. And why not? If you want to be advantageous, I'm all for capitalism. But they are rubbing their hands, because at the end of the day, a big pundit who everyone knows about is talking about them. That's free advertisement for them. That's more views to their channel, and that's more money. And, you can kind of say, well, that's capitalism at its absolute peak of people basically making money off of opinion. I say ethically, is that correct? Should you be making money off of other people's opinion and monopolizing it for yourself? Because at the end of the day, they're providing you with the content. You're not doing it yourself. And I say
there's in relation to the fan channels, you make a valid point. Often I'll do my match reaction and people will come on and say, or we might be doing a show midweek and Arsenal have lost, and people will be like, straight after this, Arsenal Fan TV and chill. Well, does every one of those Arsenal fans who basically makes the show get some of the money that Arsenal Fan TV get? I don't know, maybe they do. But you're right, holding a microphone in front of somebody and giving them 5 minutes of fame, I don't know.
But I don't know, it just feels like giving a platform to people who aren't as talented as the people who are actually running professional TV channels. Those people are amazing at what they do. You go on a TV channel, these guys are fantastic. A YouTube channel, any Tom, Dick or Harry could just get a camera, stick up a green screen, stick it on there, away you go, And yet somehow people buy into them as their experts. They're not. And I feel there's a real problem now of channels popping up everywhere and in a way starting to ruin the real essence of football, because you're taking away you're taking it away from the club and the stadiums and the talks in the pubs and things like that. And yeah, it's fine. Every fan thinks, oh, great, I'm on a YouTube channel. They're interviewing me. They're only interviewing you because they want your opinion to be so polarized that everyone's going to watch it and think, my God, this guy's having a meltdown. It's fantastic. It's hilarious. Let's go share it everywhere.
Well, and I think,
well, yeah, and
this
is it.
Viral, isn't it? He was the first one. And, he gets a lot of criticism. I know for a fact there's people who think I'm a CUNT. And, you put your face on a YouTube channel, you can't get moody about it. If someone thinks that about you, you put your face out there. That's what happens. But
you fully accept sometimes that you let your emotions get ahead of you and you do just go off on one. And you fully accept that. And you've said to me in the past, in private, that's how I am and that's how I've always been. And I do just polarize opinions. But what I will say is, with the amount of subs on the United Stand, it does hold sway with a number of fans. And the ones in Manchester, the match-paying fans who are there, always cheering on their teams, I can completely sympathise with the fact that they get very, very angry with some guy on YouTube slagging off a player or whatever, because at the end of the day, they feel like that's all moving away from the stadiums and elsewhere. And you can appreciate that as well. You said to me, you can understand that. and you're never going to be liked by everyone. The same as no one's going to be liked on the other YouTube channels. I think it's
just to jump in on that. I mean,
yeah.
The just I don't want to talk about the United Stand in great depth, other than people who've been there from the start know what it's about. As Jordy said, he's got a job. I've got a job. Everybody on the United Stand has got a job. This is done in our own time because we're passionate about it. And the reason we started it was a sort of stumbled on it in a way, an anti thing to what we found out about what everybody else does. There's nothing wrong with it. But we, as far as I'm aware, are the only ones that are independently run and just do it in our own time. And we made mistakes. The Van Hal out thing from last Christmas probably wasn't the right thing to do. We spoke about it, we did it, we went Van Hal out. And that, as Jorty says, as a fan channel, to go so against what the club is doing is a big statement to do it. And it was, but we all felt that that's how we felt for the bigger the club. And we often have conversations, even though this is only, we're not on the level of people like Sky Sports or anything like that. We're just fans at the end of the day. But we have to have discussions now, because if I come on here and said, Jesse Lingard's absolute shit, he should not be anywhere near a Manchester United shirt, that could sway a lot of opinion. Now, I don't think that about Lingard at all. I've been consistent about Fellaini because I have to be. It's not personal, but I get what you're saying there. It's very, very easy, and there is a responsibility to, fan opinion is very important, and you have a responsibility.
And the thing is, there's a number of people on comments saying, Draughty, your head's gone, you don't know what you're on about, you're talking Mark down, you're not being very nice to him. Mark, you know yourself that I'm just very, very honest, and I'm only trying to convey the fact that you do hold sway with a minority of Manchester United fans. So you have a responsibility when you put out stuff that, yes, it's going to have an impact on some people's opinion. And you agree with that, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And, you know the amount of work that, I won't say work, but the amount of messages we have off screen talking about stuff. And you will often say to me, you can't say what you think because, not what you think, but you can't go in at that angle because we do have a lot of people who, and with Skype Goldbridge as well, we have to be very careful about what people come on and say, but we're also independent and want to promote saying it how it is. But yeah, I mean, some people hate this sort of content, some people love it, and that's opinion, isn't it? I just what I don't like personally is that, like I say, it's like anything in life, rather than just looking at it and accepting people for what they do, it's going to end in a war, and it is a bit of a war. Gary Neville going on Arsenal Fan TV leaves a bad taste in my mouth because I just think, it's all a bit manipulated. Not on Gary's part, but certainly on the part of that fan channel, because it's just, they're not a victim. They're making out they're a victim. I just wanted to say Henry Winter is a journalist that I really respect, but he's even been suckered into it on the Arsenal Fan TV victim, because he said Gary Neville badly misread Arsenal fans. Slating fans from your lofty position is not what when them fans pay to watch and you're paid for your opinion. Who matters more? But badly misread Arsenal fans and their opinion about Wenger. Well, maybe he did. Maybe a lot of I'm Wenger in because I think the longer he stays there, the better. And I think you're the same, Draughty. I mean, I understand why Arsenal fans probably want to get rid of him. They are never going to win a league title. They will never win a league title with him in charge because he just, he generates spineless teams. He's been finished for a long time. But I also understand why somebody like Gary Neville, who's a professional footballer, won the lot, respects someone like Wenger, because he knows, actually, coming in the top four each year, that takes a good manager. But I also understand Arsenal fans because they want to win the title, but they're not a big club.
Well, bringing it back to Manchester United and more, to the point United Stand, fan channel, and particularly this fan channel, where do you feel the importance is? Do you feel that by giving fans a stage to talk, the global fans, the ones who can't go to the games, the ones who feel when they're sat on their sofa at home in their Manchester United shirt, paying their hard-earned money for the merchandise, do you feel it is important to give them a platform like this to air their opinions, but not be shot down by pundits because they feel to be, lesser in terms of the stature of football? I just find it, there is a grey area at the moment of the fans are paying the clubs. The clubs are making money off of the fans, so therefore, if you buy something, you should be allowed to critique it. That's just society. You buy something, you own it, you have a part of it, you have a right to have a say on it. So I don't think fan channels are ever really going to go away. I don't think pundits are going to die anytime soon, and journalism is always in vogue. So I kind of think the three have to work together somehow, but unfortunately, it's just going to be that way for a very long time. So how do you feel? How do you feel United stand is in terms of importance with Manchester United, or what direction are you thinking about taking it in?
The thing is, I don't really. Funny, I was talking to Mad Marcus before we came on air because he wanted to ask me about a couple of things, and he was like, "Oh, what do you think is going to happen with the United stand?" I said, "I don't know. I don't really know. People think there's little master plans and this, that, and the other. There isn't. We enjoy doing the content. We enjoy the interaction. I think draw to hit on something very good there. The worldwide United support is something we're really big on. Always have been. I think United are a global club, and the global support is what makes us what we are. And interacting with that, I think we do better than anybody. And I enjoy doing that. What the future holds, I don't know. Who knows what could happen. I think it's dangerous territory that we're going into. I think journalists especially are getting very frustrated with fan content. I don't really understand why football ex-professionals are, because I think they have a monopoly when it comes to live football coverage. I, for one, I don't know what you think about this, Drawty. I do like, or I haven't watched it for a while, but I used to really enjoy Sunday Supplement before I started doing this, because actually I think you get a lot better opinion on here when you understand the journalist word a little bit more. Some of them are very, very good, but some of them have just been to university and probably never kicked a ball in their life, some of them. But some of them have worked very hard, and I enjoy listening to people like Henry Winter, Daniel Taylor and Oliver Kay. And I've always been an advocate that, I look at things like Match of the Day 2 and I see certain pundits on there and I think, you are clearly reading a script or you are thick. I wouldn't mind going to half-time on a Sky Sports game, seeing Gary Neville with someone like Henry Winter next to him, because I think that sort of interaction is far more interesting than Gary Neville and somebody next to him who basically has been paid a fortune to get bullet points from a runner. That's what I would see evolution, and that's what I would like to see. Would I like to see anybody off a fan channel, a famous person off a fan channel, let's say Robbie off Arsenal Fan TV, sat on Sky Sports next to Gary Neville? And maybe that's what people like that aspire to. No, I don't want to see that. I don't think that's right. I think fan content should carry on, and I think it's valuable. But I think some of them probably aspire to getting themselves onto things like that. And I think personally, I don't know what you think, I think there should definitely always be a defining line, because I think fan content has a responsibility, but I think it always should be fan content based on fan opinion, and I don't think they should merge. But I think journalists and pundits, I'd like to see a bit of that.
I think fan content taken professionally to the level of being on professional TV is dangerous territory, because it makes celebrities of fans who don't really have I could say they don't have any discernible talent, but that would be completely unfair, and that would be completely unfounded and unjust, because everyone has their own talents and not everyone has the opportunities to go to university and do these things and to get into these positions. A lot of these people work very, very hard themselves, at what they do, and they are very, very dedicated and passionate. And, just to name one example, Stephen Howson's Busby Babes video yesterday, utterly brilliant. No one can deny that, and you can't take that away from him. And the guy has worked extremely hard at what he does. And I will never shoot people down, and I will always hold my hands up and say, great work. It was brilliant. And even you said to me, it was very good work. And then you've got, obviously, Zara used to be on the United stand, and now she's doing her journalism and she wants to go into TV, and we hope she does that. There's so many different facets of...
I don't think Zara minds it, because she knows us both, and we know that she left the United stand, and she has made a very sensible, conscious decision which fits in with what I've said and what you just said there. There should be a defining line between fan content and professional sports broadcasting, and that's the decision. Zara was brilliant on the fan content, and she'll be even better, I think, in sports broadcasting if and when she gets that opportunity. But I fully back. I was disappointed, but I fully back the decision she made, because I think that there should be a defining line. I don't think there should be anything. I'm going to go through some of the live comments in a minute, but I think it was Michael Schau saying the future is fan pundits with professional pundits? I don't think it is. Can you imagine me sat with Jamie Carragher or something like that? I mean, I wouldn't be in awe. I don't think Draughty would either. But you know what would happen within a very short period of time. He'd say something, I'd disagree with it, and he'd come out with, well, you've never played the game. And then it's like, well, I'm a fan. I long after you've gone, I'm going to be watching this club. You don't even support this club, And then it's it's war, isn't it? I just don't think it works, and that's why I think there should be a degree of separation.
But you would lose that battle every single time because you haven't physically played the game at that level, and I think that is where the divide line is.
Yeah,
I just think there's a big market for it. It is entertainment. I just find it weird that there's a loss of money in just opinion. And that's what it is. It's just content.
You can't knock it though. I mean, come on. You can't.
No, you can't.
Look at Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother, and all that crap and X Factor. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Whatever you say about these fans who are talking, at least they're passionate and they have a knowledge of what they're talking about. I mean, some of it might be absolute nonsense because they're just irate after a refereeing decision or a bad result. And it is a bit pantomime, but. We've seen the problem with society over the last 20 years is this I want it, so I should have it without working for it, and that people believe they can be celebrities off nothing. And I agree with Draughty to a certain extent in where he's coming at with all this. And you compare somebody's opinion to somebody who's won like European Cups, you're going to lose the argument. You are going to lose the argument. Not that I wouldn't. I'd have a good go back, but. There's people making a hell of a lot of money off no talent out there.
Well, and I think that's the danger. But at the same time, I fervently believe that everyone deserves an opinion. Everyone deserves a voice, no matter how small. Not everyone's going to agree. I always see on the live comments, he doesn't know what he's on about. Get him off there. He's talking crap. Oh, boss, I'll get this guest off. He hasn't got a bloody clue. It's just like none of us, okay? None of us know what 100% we're on about all the time. None of us can ever agree, but fan opinion is important. That's what keeps people interested in the game, and I'm pretty sure if it stopped, it would die out. So why do we watch the game? If we didn't enjoy it or get annoyed about it or could talk about it at the pub, why would we go to a stadium and watch it? If we didn't give a crap about what we were watching, we just wouldn't talk about it. So at the end of the day, I think everyone needs an opinion. Those who wish to make a celebrity out of their opinion, that's fine if they want to aspire to it, but I don't think that it should get to that point where they're in the public eye so much, because I don't think they're professionals at it. It's here to stay. That's all I'm going to say, and I think it will continue. But it's just like anything, when the market becomes flooded and there's so much fan opinion out there, then who do you listen to? And I think then eventually it'll go back to the pundits, because they're the ones who played the game at the end of the day.
Well, they're consistent. There's only so many football content channels, professional ones in the UK, too, and they've got their teams of ex-pros. And it is, it is flooded. We're certainly not threatened by it because we've never been hand in hand with any of the others anyway. So that and that was not necessarily our decision. So we'll keep doing what we do. Who knows where it'll be in a year's time? Maybe people will go on off and watch something else. Maybe we'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. I hope we do, because I think we offer something for that global support and for you all to come on. I want to talk about some of your comments in a minute, but I just want to add in there that I think this comment just typifies Robbie Savage to a certain extent. But he basically said a couple of years ago that he never once thought about how much it costs fans to go to games, and that would be the majority view with most football players because they live in a bubble. I think there is work that, can be done. Arrogance, not just ex-professional footballers, some ex-professional footballers, but also the media and journalism as well. There is an arrogance because for so long, before the advent of social media, like Draughty was saying, there was no real voice for fans. You used to get forums, but who reads them apart from the fans who's writing in there? Nowadays, you can put a tweet out that goes viral. You can do a video like we've seen Carrick fan. He had that one, didn't he, a couple of years ago? That went viral. Andy Tate, people like that. Arsenal Fan TV nearly every week when Arsenal lose. And suddenly loads and loads of people see that opinion. And that is threatening to the wider media who had a monopoly. I think everyone just needs to evolve and work together. And as Draughty was saying there, every opinion counts. It does. Not every opinion counts, but everyone's got the right to an opinion, and I think that's really important. And I think
No, I think everyone's opinion does count. However crap. No, sorry, not however crap it is, because I don't think all opinions are crap. I think abuse towards opinions crap. I think that's the issue. People can have an opinion. It's when you get the abuse on top of it, and it's just becomes nasty. That has nothing. That's got no place in it. It's like just attacking someone for their beliefs. You believe something, fine, okay. You defend it to your whatever you believe in. That's fine. It's just when people start getting really, really abusive and just like, oh, you don't know what the F you're talking about and all this kind of stuff. And then it starts getting personal just because you've said something. I've seen the abuse you get online. I've seen the amount of tweets aimed at you and stuff. And it's just like, oh, he's this guy from Nottingham and he doesn't know what he's talking about and this kind of stuff. And, oh, he's a danger. It's horrible and it's disgusting. And it's part of the reason I don't want to be involved in this kind of thing with myself, because it's not what I want for myself. I think people like you doing what you do are incredibly brave at standing up for what you believe in and putting yourself out there. So why the hell shouldn't you command respect and from people for doing that? Because you are putting yourself out there.
I enjoy doing it. I don't hold myself up to be some sort of super fan, but when somebody starts going on about the Nottingham stuff, it doesn't grate me. It makes me more determined, because I know so many Manchester United fans over the last 70 years who aren't from Manchester and love the club. So when somebody says you're from Nottingham or you're a Forest fan, it doesn't make me angry. It just makes me more determined to carry on doing it, because I know how many global fans there are out there. But, if somebody's thinking of doing this, go ahead and do it. It isn't easy. Drawty's been there for me, certainly over the last 18 months. I did leave last January because I just got fed up of it. And I think, you constantly have ups and downs and thoughts about stopping. But if you've got good people around you, they ground you. And I don't get like that anymore. But only the other day I saw a tweet from somebody, can't wait to see Goldbridge come up to Old Trafford. He will get battered within seconds. Now, people might think that's a joke. It isn't. There are people out who will do that. Why will they do it? Because I'm on a YouTube channel and I talk about the club I support. Because give me a tweet where I've verbally abused, threatened, been abusive to anybody, certainly Manchester United fans, and I'll call you a liar. So basically, people want to cave my head in because I talk about the club that they support, but I support. And that is that is the sad side of things. So Gary Neville might have called somebody an idiot for holding up a Wenger sign. I'll guarantee if you troll Twitter over the last 4 days, he's been called every single name under the sun. He's probably had his wife called names, his kids, absolutely everything. So that's the flip side of it as well. There's a lot of abuse out there. You know what? I don't really... If Gary Neville's got, like sometimes I've got when I've come on a show, angry, and he clearly is, and called somebody an idiot, yeah, maybe in hindsight, as popular as he is, it wasn't the best choice of words. But what do you want? Scripted or passion?
I think you want both. Not. You just want passion. You just want people to talk about football. I mean, that's why we do it. You know, it's a game. It's entertainment, and that's all it is, and that's all it ever will be. And I know some people think, oh no, football is life. That's fine for you. You know, brilliant. If that's your life, that's fantastic. For me, I love football. I love watching it. It's not my life though. And that's just where I draw the line. You know, it's something that I massively enjoy and I'm passionate about, but I'm not going to defend it all the time like my life depends on it, because at the end of the day, it's just an opinion. I really think you should probably get on the comments now, because
yeah, I am.
Without me telling you what to do, but you know,
no, I am, because I do want to just blitz through a load of comments, and then we'll sort of summarise them at the end, and maybe I'll take some notes of good ones, and Dorothy can try and remember a few as well. Tyrone Williams, he was on Skype Goldbridge last night. He says, no one on YouTube should base their opinions on the views of others. I think there are those like me who have their own mind. We've always say that. When I reply to comments, and we try to reply to every comment that you make after the video's gone live over the next 24 hours, because lots of you do comment and don't watch it live. There will be people going, Drorty's talking shit again, or Mark, you're a nonce, or whatever like that. And then they'll make their point. I'll say two things. One, there's no need for the abuse, because it's just football opinion. And two, tell me where anybody's come on this channel and said, my opinion's right and you've got to deal with it. It's an opinion, and in a way, it's fantastic if you disagree. Get commenting, let us know about it, because that's what football is, and that's why we started this channel. Real fan opinion. Not our opinion's right, real fan opinion. And if you are on the bus with your mates or at school tomorrow or down the pub or whatever you do, playing five-a-side afterwards when you're getting changed, I guarantee you might all be best mates. You won't agree on something. Someone will say, I thought Rooney was brilliant yesterday. Where have you been for the last 3 years? He's crap. And that's what we try to generate. Let's talk about Mickey, says Blast from the Past. Let's not. We're talking about something else, but we will talk about that later in the week. Don't worry.
I've got a really good comment here from, and I hope I pronounced this right, Sumajit Guamamjuda. Mark, this is a classic case of democracy. It's not the best form. There is no better. Fans always have an opinion. It's because of connectivity. The club's management is a lot closer to the fans now. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a good point, because people always say, why don't you do official link-ups with the club? And as far as I know, any Manchester United content channel, the club won't entertain anything, which I think is a brilliant stance to take, because it shows neutrality. But on the flip side of that, they don't interfere, tell people to shut up. There has been negativity from United channels. Terry sometimes goes off on one. We certainly did about Van Gaal. They don't come in and say, you can't do that, we're a because Manchester United, as an entity, they're up there with bloody Apple. They're massive. Maybe not quite Apple, but they're massive. And they could shut you down quite easy if they wanted to, or certainly threaten you, and you would listen. But so I think the way the club gets a lot of criticism, especially the ownership, but I think the way that they deal with the fans personally, I don't know what you think, Draughty, is commendable. I don't think there should be any official link-ups with fan content. It's like the fanzines out the ground. They're the lifeblood of football. I truly believe that. And if you can get hold of fanzines, they're great. As much as they hate YouTube content, I sort of respect that in a way, because they're old school. Maybe they're dying out a little bit. Maybe they need to, jump into the social media world a little bit more. But that's what fan content is as well. I don't think it should go hand in hand. I don't really like the thought of interviewing somebody like Fellaini or Mata or Herrera, because you're not going to get to ask them the questions you really want, and I don't think that's what fan content should be. I know some people do it, but I like that defining line between professionalism and what is fan content.
Well, I think when you come onto that point, and I know it's always been a bit taboo, you can't mention this on the show, or you can't mention that, or this entity, or whatever. Full-time Devils, brilliant at what they do. We know, they're run by a media outlet, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's a very clever model. Then you've got Housen, who's very good at what he does. Makola's good at what he does. Gaz Drinkwater, these three. And then you've got Andy Tate on there, who's just a fan, but he's gone viral. Then you've got Terry Fleurs, who obviously does Devil's Terrace, even though he's changed it to Football Terrace now. He's very passionate, and he says what he thinks. And you've got the United People's TV. I don't think any of these people or channels should be officially linked to the club or United Stand. I don't think any of them should be officially part of the club, because at the end of the day, the club has the final say, and the club is the one with the official announcements. And if the club wanted to have a YouTube channel, it really would, and it would just decimate all of us. I think the club have actually handled it very well in giving power to the fans to be able to give their own opinion without encroaching on all of us, if you know what I mean. I think Manchester United, if they had a YouTube channel, it would be the biggest one for football content out there in terms of club level, but they don't do it. Why? There's a massive market. There's so much money. They could do whatever they want. They've got United TV, and they could make money off of that. But they've given everyone a chance to have their own opinion on YouTube and not really come into the market, because I think if they did, it would upset everything. And maybe it is good to have all this kind of diversity out there. I don't think there is a problem.
No, I agree. I think that diversity is good. And one thing, what I would say is I don't necessarily agree with everything you've just said there. I don't. But
look, we don't always agree, and I don't have a problem with that.
No. That's what that basically makes my point. Really, is that one thing we're always conscious about in the United Stand is to be respectful of others, and not to tread on toes of others. Now, there is copying that goes on there. I definitely, and I know Draughty did as well, he might deny it now, things used to get copied and frustration levels would go up. That was probably, we had no media background anyway. It is literally just fans doing their own thing. And my thought on it now is people will contact us and go, oh, this channel's doing that account's copied this, that and the other. I just take it as a compliment, because it shows again that, you know, from starting off very small, and people used to say, look at that shit, they're idiots, whatever. If people are copying you, then that's fantastic. But one thing I would say about us is we really, really make a conscious effort not to copy. And people always say, well, why don't you do, you know, you're moaning about people outside the ground being interviewed, why don't you do that? Well, because we don't want to do it. We don't want to do outside the ground fan cams, because there's a channel who does it, and they do it very, very well. And going and copying that blatantly is, I think, disrespectful, but also that's not really what we want to do. Let's take a few more comments. DMUFC 1996 says, sick of this nonsense that you're not a real United fan or can't have a say if you don't live in Manchester. But without fans living outside of Manchester, the club simply wouldn't be as big as it is nowadays. I don't think there's anything more to say on that. I think it's a fair point. Squeck says, who cares what Gary says? He's being paid obscene amounts of money to give his rational opinion. You could say he's being paid obscene amounts of money and he's the best pundit in the country with Jamie Carragher. And, you know, the TV companies have been doing it for decades. Alan Hansen used to get paid millions every year to talk absolute sit on the fence, boring opinion, in my opinion. So, you know, there is evolution and it is better than it was. George Kyle just says simply that Henry Winter is right. Henry Winter sort of having to go Gary Neville saying he underestimates fan opinion. You could say he's just expressing his opinion. He doesn't need to take into account fan opinion if he's expressing his own. Darth Vader, Mark, you like the Prime Minister, but you need to listen to the people, not your advisors. Adrian Smith, Gary Neville shows by going on Arsenal channel rather than United fan channel is a fake. I don't think him. You know, you're not going to listen to me. I don't know what everyone else thinks. I don't think him going on an Arsenal fan channel is a good idea, but it's up to him. Arsenal Muppets, same as Kean on BBC, says Maya. Abdullah says Draughty's talking good stuff. Oreo gameplay, Wenger should be replaced by it might be an Arsenal fan, but I don't want to get into that. Adrian Smith, a fan is a fan, regardless of how much they spend. We all have to work together, says Ndip K. Talk United, not them clowns, says James Arnold. Darren Mully, to be fair, Neville talks out of his hole at times, don't we all? Yes, no name. Draughty, head has gone, to be honest. Lost my respect, says Maya. I'm sure, you know, opinion, it's opinion. And Evil127, Gary Neville has the right to have his opinion. We get to have our opinion. Gary Neville has the right to have his opinion of our opinions, and vice versa. Hope that made sense to everybody. And Louise O'Donoghue, they can't stop the rise of YouTube fan channels. They have to find a way for all of you to work together. Johnny Blaze, Mark is making good points. Mad Marcus Draughty is being honest about his opinions. Don't put him to the sword over it. Very good point. Martin Smith, I really like and respect Neil Ashton. Ashton, that's your point. I don't. He's chief editor at The Sun, and I think he went for Mourinho way too early, but that's my opinion. And I spoke to Neil Custis about that, who writes at The Sun, at the FBA's at Old Trafford in November, and he agreed with me. He said he had that chat with him, probably a bit like me and Draughty have chats, and he had that chat with him and said, you need to give Mourinho a little bit more time, because it was only October, and the editor went for that angle. But again, you look on Twitter, because we spend a lot of time on Twitter, The Mirror, The Sun, and lots of others, you just see a headline go up, and you know, you have to hold yourself from clicking it, because it's such a clickbait title. But you know, if you click it, it's not going to be like that. It's like there was one today. I think it might. I'm not going to name who it was. I think it was The Mirror, but it might not have been. And it was like Martial to go the same way as Pogba, something along those lines. And it was making you think out of the door, but it wasn't. It was flipped another way that he's going to be a success under Mourinho, like Pogba is. You know, the tiniest little bit, but the actual clickbait makes you think something else. And that, you know, papers are desperate, absolutely desperate. They've lost so much in advertising, and they are there to make money. And that's where their frustrations come from. We're in a comfortable situation where we, and a lot of fan channels, I think, although some of them probably are as well. We've all got other jobs, we've got income, so there isn't that concern about that sort of stuff. But it's a business, and that's why I think it will end up with a war. Blazing Gun 365, shut up, your opinion means nothing. That's your opinion. And Patrick says the United Stand equals the best fan channel. Thank you. Draughty, do you want to jump in there?
There's a comment from Ashwin Gill, just basically back from Arsenal Fan TV. It says the platform of fans Arsenal TV has acquired is misused by them because of the melting down fans they get on their channel to get views. They should be educated enough to utilise that audience wisely. I think what Robbie does is brilliant, and I just think it's smart to be using the fans that have a meltdown. So,
Oh yeah, it's a brilliant business model.
it's great. I mean, every time, I mean, I talk to Heavy D on DM sometimes, and he's a funny guy, right? Anyone who watches Storage Hunters UK knows where he keeps going boom all the time and all this kind of stuff. He's a very nice guy off camera, trust me. Okay, I have spoken to him a few times, and I've spoken to him a few times. And I think when he has his meltdown and people enjoy it, it's because it's so polarized. It is funny to watch, and he's using so many different memes. It's just clever, and I don't think you can really get too angry about it because at the end of the day, it's entertainment, and that's what we're doing it for, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sad thing, there's a comment I want to come up from James Hughes in a minute, but I think the sad thing about all this is how much publicity it's got, because I think there's no need for it. There's the professional stuff, there's the papers, there's the fan things. You separated the three very well at the start, and there's no real need for crossover. Everybody's ticking along fine. Last time I looked at Arsenal Fan TV, they were getting a lot of views and a lot of subscribers. Last time I looked, there's still a lot of people watching live football. And last time I looked, there's still people clicking and buying newspapers. So there's no need for this issue. And it's a redundant issue because it's all about opinion. So I find it quite embarrassing and stupid and a waste of time, to be honest, because why is it relevant? But ultimately, all three aspects, whether you've got Arsenal Fan TV, Gary Neville or Henry Winter as the journalist, each one of them will benefit from one bouncing off the other because it's news. And there's no such thing as bad publicity as there draws to.
No, there's not. And as Abdullah Saeed has just said, Draughty is dishonest. Well, if I've been dishonest tonight, then shoot me down. I try to be as honest as I can be. So, again, just opinion. People can read into what people say and they think
Nobody's right. Nobody's right. It's an opinion, and you will get your opportunity, whether it's on the live comments or whether it's when you're not watching live, to get commenting. Because tell you what, even if you've watched this live tonight, have a look in the morning or in a couple of hours when the comment section opens up the bottom, because I always try and reply. There's some fantastic conversations that go on in there, and people will say, "What a load of crap," and then it will start, and it's good. There was a comment from James Hughes I just wanted to say, and he said, "I would not have survived as a United fan if I hadn't had the United stand during those Lou Van Gaal months." And I think I get where he's coming from, because I used to have that as a fan, maybe 10 years ago, where all you had was Match of the Day and some crappy forums on like the BBC 606 or something like that. And United would get beat, and your blood would be pumping, and you'd have no outlet other than if you were lucky enough to go out for a couple of drinks with your mate who might not support United anyway. The good positive thing about the United stand that we've always had was the Sunday night show, and we still have it at 8:30, and that was our flagship show. And I think that's where it started to grow from into everything else that we do now, because there was a lot of bad results under Van Gaal, and I enjoyed doing it, as Alex did, and I know Draughty when he came on as well, and I know a lot of you did, is because for that hour we got to vent that frustration. And some people were still Van Gaal in, and some were Van Gaal out. And that's where I think it comes into its own, because I don't think TV companies can relate to that. They can't do that. You can't, for whatever people say I don't like the way the Class of 92, Scholes and that were very critical of Mourinho at the start and Van Gaal and this, but they never ever took a pop at Rooney when he's been poor for 3 years. I'd flip that round and say they've played in the same dressing room as him. They know what he is as a professional footballer. They probably don't want to out him. Well, as fans, we can do that, because all we care about really, apart from personal love for personal players because they're your favourites, and I'm as bad as that as anybody, because people have said the other day, Matt has been crap for 3 weeks. You've not hung him out to dry like you have Fellaini. And that's true, because he's one of my favourites. That's human nature. Everyone's got their favourites.
But also, if I could just interject, players who've played with Rooney, I'm sorry, I would never out any of my friends in public. Even if I felt they weren't playing well or whatever, I would never do it because they're my friends. And I think that's an integrity thing as a friend. I don't think you can think ill of Scholes or Neville or whoever for not talking down Rooney, because at the end of the day, you just would never talk your friend down.
Exactly, because I don't know how much they get paid, but let's say Gary Neville or Paul Scholes are on 100 grand for every show they do for BT or Sky, and Rooney plays crap, and the presenter says, "Rooney was poor today, what do you think?" And he goes, "I've got 100 grand in my pocket here." Yeah, he was absolute rubbish. And he's doing that because yeah, maybe he thinks he was rubbish, but he's going against that integrity of a friend because of the money in his pocket. You know, what do you want? Somebody who takes the money and runs, or somebody who takes the money and keeps their integrity. And that's a good point. But I think that is where certainly our channel comes into its own, because we are pretty much live after every game, certainly on a Sunday night. And good or bad, will reflect the mood and people can come on and say what they think. And I think that is where, for me personally, if I ever stopped doing this and somebody took it over, I would still tune in on a Sunday night, certainly, because I would like hopefully they're reflecting my mood and allowing me to interact with fans. And that, I think in a long-winded way, we've sort of, because I think Drorty's and a lot of the live comments have made some really good points, and made me at times think, well, what is the point in this? What is the point in this? But I think it comes back to our flagship show. And I know all these shows are very, very good and very important. And Skype Goldbridge is fantastic. And we've got the quiz on Thursday night. And I think that's just another aspect of this channel getting bigger and us trying to, integrate fans more and more. But ultimately, I think, what did we start off? It was the Sunday show once a week. And it was events, or it was a chance for fans to just interact that wasn't there before. So, yeah, I'm all for fan content. Obviously, we run a channel. But I am for it. But I am definitely against the merging of the lines. I don't think it works. I think 3 separate things, like Drorty said: pundits, professional pundits, journalism, fan content, and you've all got your 3 separate things. And I don't really like crossover. I don't know what you think, Drorty.
I think keep them all separate. Journalists are very good at what they do in terms of newspaper and the written word. YouTube channel and fan content, obviously that's that's just fans having their say, and the pundits are there for mainstream TV for the masses. And I think that's just how it will work from now on.
Yeah, I think it works. That's my frustration with this at the moment. I think, where are we going with this? Tomorrow, will there be another tweet from Gary Neville tonight having a pop at Henry Winter? Arsenal Fan TV will jump on it and make another video because it keeps them in the public eye. Henry Winter comes out with something else because it keeps him in the eye. Where does it end? Did it need to start? No. I mean, to be honest, I wish Gary Neville had never mentioned Arsenal Fan TV and just said Arsenal fans are embarrassing.
I'm glad he did mention it, because at the end of the day, you can't brush it under the carpet and pretend it hasn't happened. It's having an influence. And the fact it's got to that level now where he feels the need to talk about it shows that fan opinion is actually having an effect. Yeah. And I think you can't walk away from that. So I think he had every right to say it.
I know, but I wish he hadn't, because then he says that, and then Arsenal Fan TV see an opportunity and they make a video, and then the media get involved, and it's like...
Then I could say, imagine he'd said something about United Stand Live on Sky Sports. You'd be laughing at...
No, yeah, I would. But you'd be on to me straight away saying, do not respond. Do not respond. It's a very professional pundit opinion and respected, and do not respond. And you would.
But then it takes all people. My opinion on how I handle things is different to how you handle things. It's different to how Robbie handles things. It's different to everyone.
Having said that, if it was Jamie Carragher, you'd have to come and yet again tie me up, because I would be making a video straight away, because it's a Liverpool fan, isn't it? It's a Liverpool player, so.
I'd be on the train up to Nottingham to make sure I could put you down up against a tree, like tie you up and make sure you couldn't say anything.
But, I think
you don't live in Nottingham, do you? Oh, sorry.
No, I don't. But ultimately, I think it's all. Everybody's got their own bed to make, and they've all made their bed, and none of them will do bad out of it. And I think ultimately it's raised a very good point for us to talk for an hour about something that I think is important, and ultimately I just come back to what I've always said, that fans are the lifeblood of football, and should not be disrespected. I think some opinions we just disagree with, and it has gone a little bit pantomime, I agree with it, but some fans are just very passionate, and I always say, don't take my live match reactions as gospel, because a couple of hours later, and certainly a day later, I sometimes feel a little bit different than I did straight away after, because that's passion and instant reaction. But that's what makes life interesting, I think. And thanks for everybody who's tuned in, and also thanks to Drorty. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add.
No, I think we pretty much covered all bases tonight. I just think, thanks for everyone getting involved. We just do the United Stand because... Well, I just like doing graphics and I just like having fun with it. So, and Mark just likes presenting and doing the things he does. So if people enjoy it, fine. If they don't want to watch it, don't watch it. It's just, again, get involved if you want to. If you're going to slate it, that's your opinion, whatever. I just think We do this because we found that happy medium now where we realise what we're doing it for, and it's fun, and that's it.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, I don't want to go into United stand stories because I'm sure nobody's interesting. But a year ago, it was a very different, and I think it very nearly ended in the summer. And I think it became a bit obsessive, and criticism was taken to heart, and all sorts. Over the last 6 months, I can hand on heart say I personally am really enjoying it. Got the right balance, and enjoy doing it, and we're getting new ideas, and it's fantastic. Jordan Curley just says, I'm a big fan of the channel. It's like my second family. I love the channel. Thank you, Mark and Drawty, and everyone else who's part of the channel. And I think that makes me happy because the one thing I do love, and I applaud, is the live comments. I love the way that Drawty designed it so we could have the live comments on the screen. We were the first channel to do that. I know a lot of others do it. Fine, no problem with it. But we were the first to put that up. And the live comments is the lifeblood of the show. Just like if we're Manchester United football team, you are the lifeblood as the fans of the show. And it is fantastic to have that. I could never go back to pre-records. I hate it. It's bullying. It's boring. It's mundane. I love live and I love the interaction. And I know a lot of other people have followed us, but so what? First never follows. We started it. I love it. You're all fantastic. And at the moment, we're really enjoying it. And it is a community that we've built. I don't get, like Drawty says, the criticism because it's a democracy. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Block us on Twitter.
You're allowed criticism. Take it. Sometimes criticism makes you better, and that's what I always believe.
Tomorrow night is Skype Goldbridge. Anything you want to talk about from tonight, or anything you want to talk about in general, get on the show tomorrow night. It's a bonus one because there's no midweek game for United this week. Thursday night we've got the quiz. I need 3 guests for that actually. So tomorrow, get on the show. I need to pick out 3 guests for the quiz on Thursday night. See if you can beat Ash's score. We've got a great prize lined up for the winner of that. On Friday night will be the preview for the Watford game. So every night this week, 8:30. Thanks everyone for watching. Drop us a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. If you're not watching live, you disagree, or if you have been watching live and there's something you want to say, pop back on and just get in the comments later and we will reply to it. But thanks everybody for watching. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think we've covered both sides. I don't think anybody's wrong. I think opinion's what matters, and people have shared their opinion. Thanks for watching, and I'll let Drawty shout out his Twitter account and say goodbye.
Drawty Devil, and God knows what I even was thinking when I came up with that name. So yeah, take it easy.
Cheers everyone. I'll see you tomorrow night, and as ever, thanks for everyone in the live comments. You've been absolutely fantastic.